What if I told you that getting older isn't something to fear, but one of the greatest blessings Jesus gives us? Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every year added to your life isn't proof that you're losing value. It's proof that you're gaining something the world can't buy: wisdom, peace, and a closeness with Him that only comes with time. When most people think about aging, their first thoughts are usually negative. They think about slowing down, about their bodies not working the same way, about opportunities closing. Culture doesn't help either. It constantly pushes the idea that youth is the only time worth celebrating. Commercials scream at us to stay young forever. Wrinkle creams promise to erase the years, and social media shows highlight reels of people in their 20s living fast and flashy lives. No wonder so many of us see birthdays as something to dread instead of something to thank Jesus for. But here's the truth. The Bible paints a very different picture. Scripture tells us that age isn't a curse but a crown. Proverbs 16:31 says, "Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained in the way of righteousness." That means every year you live, every lesson you've survived, every step you've taken with Jesus adds more to your crown. Instead of being a sign of weakness, aging is meant to be a sign of glory. And yet, most people completely miss this perspective because they're so focused on what they're losing that they can't see what they're gaining. Think about it this way. When you were younger, you probably lived more for the moment. Mistakes came easier because wisdom hadn't had time to grow roots in your life. As we age, however, life lessons pile up like stepping stones, each one lifting us higher, helping us see things from a clearer view. That's why in Job 12:12 it says, "Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding?" With time comes perspective, and with perspective comes the ability to discern what really matters. The arguments that once consumed your energy don't carry the same weight anymore. The things you once thought were urgent now look small compared to eternal things. Age allows us to see with spiritual depth, to spot the traps the enemy sets, and to recognize the blessings of Jesus we might have overlooked before. That kind of wisdom doesn't come from a book or a quick course. It's earned through years of walking, stumbling, and rising again under the grace of God. When we talk about aging, one of the biggest blessings that often gets overlooked is patience. When you're young, waiting feels like torture. You want everything right now. Answers, success, relationships, recognition. But as the years roll by, you start to understand that some things can't be rushed. You learn that the best fruit takes time to ripen, the strongest trees take years to grow deep roots, and the most powerful prayers are often answered after long seasons of waiting. James 1:4 reminds us, "Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Age teaches us that rushing often leads to regret, while waiting builds character, strength, and faith. You start to trust Jesus more deeply, realizing that His timing is never late and never early. It's always right on time. That calm trust, that steady heart, is a treasure that only aging brings. Another gift hidden inside aging is wisdom. Think about it. Wisdom doesn't show up in textbooks or YouTube tutorials the same way it does in life lived. You only get it by walking through trials, making mistakes, and learning to get back up again. Proverbs 16:31 says, "Gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained in a righteous life." That verse isn't saying everyone with gray hair is automatically wise, but it points to the truth that years lived with Jesus shape a heart and mind in ways nothing else can. When you've seen storms come and go, when you've watched seasons of blessing and seasons of loss, you develop a perspective that no young person can fully grasp yet. Aging allows you to look back and connect the dots. You see how God carried you, how He used even the darkest times for good, and how He never wasted a single tear. That ability to guide others, to give counsel with compassion, is one of the greatest blessings age gives. It turns you from just a traveler into a guide for those still learning the road. Aging also brings gratitude in a way that youth rarely understands. When you're younger, it's easy to take things for granted. The health that lets you run without effort, the family members who are always around, the simple joy of waking up without aches or limitations. But as you age, you begin to see the value of what once seemed ordinary. Every breath feels like a gift. Every sunrise a reminder that Jesus has given you one more day. Every laugh with loved ones, a treasure you don't want to overlook. Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." When you know your days are limited, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You begin to say thank you more often. You cherish relationships deeper, and you live with a heart more focused on eternity. Aging shifts your perspective from entitlement to appreciation, and that change fills your life with peace that younger years rarely experience. Another blessing of aging is the chance to pass down faith. The longer you walk with Jesus, the more stories you carry of His goodness, His faithfulness, and His mercy. These aren't just stories for yourself. They become seeds you plant in the hearts of children, grandchildren, and anyone willing to listen. Psalm 145:4 says, "One generation commends your works to another. They tell of your mighty acts." There's something powerful about hearing a testimony from someone who has lived decades in faith. Your words carry weight because they're not theory, they're lived reality. Every scar you bear, every prayer you've seen answered, every valley you've crossed, becomes a lesson to guide those still trying to figure out how to trust God. Aging turns your life into a living sermon, where people can see the fingerprints of Jesus all over your journey. That kind of legacy is worth more than money, fame, or success. It's the eternal blessing of showing others that Jesus is faithful from the first day to the last. Aging also teaches us humility in a way nothing else can. When you're young, it's easy to think you're invincible, that your strength and plans can carry you through anything. But as the years pass, your body reminds you that you're not in control. You can't run as fast, recover as quickly, or rely on your own strength the way you once did. And while that might sound discouraging, it's actually a blessing. It pushes you to depend less on yourself and more on Jesus. 2 Corinthians 12:9 reminds us, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Growing older is like a daily reminder that our true strength doesn't come from within, it comes from Him. Humility takes root as you realize life is not about proving yourself, but about surrendering. Instead of fighting to hold on to youth, you begin to embrace the beauty of leaning fully on God's grace. That humility opens the door to deeper peace, stronger faith, and a gentleness that others can see and feel in you. Aging also reshapes how we see time. When you're young, years feel endless, and you often push off the important things, faith, family, forgiveness, thinking you'll deal with them later. But as you grow older, time becomes more precious. You realize that life isn't about endless opportunities, but about making the most of the ones you have today. Ephesians 5:15-16 says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Aging teaches you not to waste time on grudges, gossip, or chasing approval. Instead, you begin investing in what matters most: loving people, serving Jesus, and preparing for eternity. The blessing is that with age comes clarity. You see how fast time passes, and that awareness sharpens your focus. Every conversation becomes more meaningful, every act of kindness more intentional, every moment with loved ones more sacred. Aging isn't about running out of time. It's about finally learning how to use time the way Jesus intended. Aging also gives us resilience. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every scar is proof that you've been through storms and survived. Younger people often crumble at the first big challenge because they haven't yet built that muscle of perseverance. But someone who has walked through decades of life carries an inner strength that can't be shaken easily. Romans 5:3-4 says, "We also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope." With age, you've seen heartbreak, disappointment, maybe even betrayal, but you've also seen that none of those things destroyed you. Instead, they shaped you. They made your faith stronger, your patience deeper, and your hope brighter. That resilience is a gift not just for you, but for everyone around you. Others look at your life and realize if you could make it through loss, illness, or hardship while still holding on to Jesus, then they can too. Aging gives you the blessing of being living proof that trials don't have the final word. Jesus does. Another blessing of aging is learning to slow down and truly savor life. When you're young, it feels like everything is a race. You rush from one achievement to the next, constantly striving to prove yourself. But with age, you start to realize that the small, simple moments often hold the greatest joy. Sitting on the porch with a cup of tea, listening to a grandchild laugh, or watching the sun set, these moments become treasures. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." Aging allows you to step out of the rush and finally appreciate the season you're in. Instead of constantly striving for what's next, you begin to cherish what's right in front of you. That slower pace is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the ability to recognize that life's beauty is found in the ordinary, and that Jesus is present in every quiet, overlooked moment. Slowing down is a blessing, because it gives your heart room to breathe and your soul space to listen to God's gentle whispers. Aging also shifts how we see success. In our younger years, success is often tied to money, status, or recognition. We chase after bigger houses, better jobs, or more applause. But with time, those things lose their shine. What once felt urgent now feels empty. As you grow older, you begin to see that true success isn't measured by what you own, but by what you give. It's about the relationships you build, the lives you impact, and the faith you leave behind. Jesus said in Matthew 6:19-20, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moths and vermin destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Aging teaches us this firsthand. You realize the money will be spent, the titles forgotten, and the trophies will collect dust. But the love you poured into people, the kindness you showed, and the faith you passed down will outlive you. That's the kind of success that matters to Jesus, and aging gives you the wisdom to pursue it. Aging also brings the blessing of legacy. Every year you live, you're writing a story with your life. And that story doesn't end with you. It echoes through your children, your grandchildren, your community, and even strangers who cross your path. Psalm 78:4 says, "We will not hide them from their descendants. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, His power, and the wonders He has done." With age, you gain the chance to pass down lessons that can't be learned from books. Lessons of faith, love, endurance, and hope. Maybe it's a word of encouragement to a young person who feels lost. Maybe it's teaching your family how to pray. Maybe it's simply showing by example what it looks like to walk with Jesus faithfully through every season. Your legacy isn't just about what you leave behind when you're gone. It's about what you give while you're still here. Aging gives you the opportunity to invest in something eternal, something that lives on long after you take your last breath. And that is one of the greatest blessings of all. Aging finally reminds us of eternity. The older we get, the more we realize that this life isn't permanent. Our bodies weaken, our steps slow, and our days on earth become fewer. And instead of that being something to fear, it becomes a gentle reminder that we're drawing closer to our true home. Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 4:16, "Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day." Each passing year brings us closer to the promise of eternal life with Jesus, where there will be no more pain, no more sorrow, no more tears. Aging strips away the illusion that this world is all there is and lifts our eyes to heaven. It helps us loosen our grip on temporary things and prepare our hearts for what's eternal. The greatest blessing of getting older isn't just the wisdom, the peace, or the legacy. It's knowing that with every step, we're moving closer to the arms of Jesus, the one who has been faithful through every season of our lives. And here's the beautiful part. When you embrace aging as a gift from Jesus, you start to live differently. You stop trying to fight time and instead start making the most of it. You stop comparing yourself to younger people and start appreciating the unique role you have right now. You find yourself slowing down, noticing the little things, like the way sunlight warms your face in the morning, or the joy of sharing a quiet meal with someone you love. You become less concerned with proving yourself and more concerned with being present, being grateful, being faithful. Aging doesn't mean your best days are behind you. It means your most meaningful days can be right now, because every stage of life carries its own beauty, its own purpose, its own chance to glorify Jesus in ways only you can. When you see it that way, you stop seeing aging as something to fear and start seeing it as the greatest blessing you could ever receive. If this opened your eyes, go ahead and watch the next video that's showing up now. It will take you even deeper into the truth Jesus wants you to see.